Hello, my dear students. Today we will learn how to use Bootstrap in HTML files. Don't forget to like, share, comment with the things you want to learn, and of course subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to be informed when I post the next tutorial for you. Let's start by accessing the official Bootstrap documentation. In a browser, search for Bootstrap and click on the first link displayed to access the documentation. The Bootstrap framework can be installed in your project in several ways. In this tutorial, we will use Bootstrap via CDN. By copying the first link, which is the CSS, into our project in the head tag, we will already be able to use Bootstrap. As you can see, the header design is already changed. Bootstrap comes with ready-made styling for headers, making them larger and well-spaced. Now, let's go back to the documentation. As you can see on the right side, we have a bunch of options. Let's click on Containers. As you can see, we have different variants, such as Container and Fluid Container. These two are the most used. Below, we have a table with the breakpoints depending on the size of the devices, from extra small to large devices. Let's copy the default container example into our HTML file. Now, if we put the title inside the container, we'll see how the container works. If you notice, we have spaces on the left and right, because in the normal container that's how it works. Now, if we go back to the documentation, we will see that the fluid container always occupies 100% of the device's space, which makes the extra spaces added by the container disappear, and we have full content on our page. Let's access the grid in the documentation, which is the most important option when using Bootstrap because it makes our website responsive. As you can see, we have examples of how it works. In the first example, we have 3 equal horizontal columns. Below, we have the explanations of the grid, which is optimized for all devices from extra small to large. The grid has up to a maximum of 12 columns, which is what we must always focus on. Let's copy the given example and make some changes. If we set the call class without any other specification, it will automatically occupy the remaining space on the page. Therefore, these 3 columns are divided into 3 equal parts of 4 each. Now let's modify the column so that we only have 2, specifying that each column takes up 6. As we can see, the columns remain next to each other, which makes our content remain blocked side by side. If we use the column specifying the devices, in our case medium device, we will notice how the columns will descend one below the other because the specified breakpoint has been reached, that is, less than 768 px. You should add some space between the heading and the row with the columns. Let's look for spacing in the Bootstrap documentation. We notice that the class M is used for the margin and the class P for the padding. We have options for spacing on the top, bottom, left, right, and their sizes are from 0 to 5. We can see that the distance between the heading and the row with our columns has increased. I noticed a mistake. We don't need the container div because we are using fluid container, and we don't need to have a container within a container anymore. Let's delete that in one column in the heading. Let's introduce a classic login form. We search for forms in the Bootstrap documentation and copy the first example into our page. Let's arrange our content. We search the utilities documentation and access Flex. Display Flex helps us transform the row with the column into a flex box to allow us to align and distribute the column content vertically and horizontally more easily. We add dflex, justify content center, and align item center to our row class, and as we can see, our content is centered horizontally. To center the content vertically as well, we need to make sure that the row occupies the height of the viewport, so we add the VH100 class to our row. That's about it for today's tutorial. I hope I helped you, and we'll see to the next one. Goodbye.